Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, everyone. 91% of the S&P 500 closed up in the green today, and the SPY is back above the crucial $600 level. In today's video, we're going to tell you everything you have to know about the current Santa rally, some historical stats that go along with that, and some of the most important stocks and events to keep on your radar to finish this week. Of course, it is a holiday week, so we're going to make today's video quick and to the point. So besides that, Tom, I think we're all set and ready to go.
Yeah, the market actually did really well here into the holidays. I mean, the SPY recovered up, and so far the Santa rally is kicking off on the right foot, right? We're getting some good action. The SPY was up 1%, and I thought breaking above $600 was fantastic to see here. One thing that was a bit negative, Mike, is I saw that the banks are looking to possibly sue the Federal Reserve here. Powell better watch out. This isn't looking too hot.
Yeah, what a great Christmas present from the big banks to Powell and his other Federal Reserve members. So basically what we have going on here is, big banks like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citigroup, and many other banks and organizations basically suing the Federal Reserve because of how they conduct stress testing. What's worth noting is that the Federal Reserve already said that they are going to change their current process, but basically big banks are not happy with the indecisiveness and just the not good way stress testing is currently structured in their opinion. So they plan to sue the Federal Reserve, and this is somewhat interesting news, and it's not like game-changing for the market, but it's a nice Christmas present for Powell and his buddies.
Yeah, he better watch out there, Mike. As they say, they better close the effing door really quick on this one. So you better watch out over at the Federal Reserve. But I am going to be watching these banks to maybe see if this can help. Hey, if they could end up getting the stress test rules or regulations changed a little bit, and maybe it ends up helping banks out even more, that could be a good positive for them. I know that banks have been dipping a little bit. Looking at Bank of America, JP Morgan, and a couple others over the past few weeks. It looks like the past couple days, though, they've been trying to mount a recovery back up.
Yeah, so not bad, and I do think the result of, this litigation will definitely have an impactful effect on banks going forward, but that's just something to analyze when that suit is settled. But looking more about what's actually happening in the market right now, we saw quite a bit of action today as stocks like Tesla, PLTR, Apple, Rumble, ACHR, and even Bitcoin moved in some pretty exciting ways. So I guess we'll start out with the big one, Tesla. This has been one of the craziest stocks in the short term, and today it popped up by over 8% today, Tom. What is going on here?
Yeah, let's go. I would say Elon Musk post-election run continues, up 8% here today. Tesla actually had a great move and is running back up towards recent resistance. So Tesla's been dipping quite a bit, and there's been some pretty major support that it's been bouncing off of right around 410 and 415. I would say, though, Mike, in the short term, there's this major resistance that everyone's watching for at the all-time high, right around 480 to 485. Over the next couple weeks, this is going to be a big level to watch for on Tesla. It's good to see SPY ripping up today as well, but I just think that overall the Santa rally today was really fueled by Tesla and a couple other of these key tech stocks that really got the show going. There wasn't really any Tesla specific news or anything like that I saw out there fueling this, but the post-election rally is continuing.
There we go. So yeah, Tesla is moving with a lot of momentum right now. Of course, keep it close on the radar, and it does have a lot of heavy resistance overhead. And I know everyone is looking at Tesla right now, and they're saying, when's it going to crack 500? It got so close last week as it touched highs of $488 a share. So it's close, but it still has a lot of work to do if it wants to crack that $500 mark. So either way, keep it on the radar. But another stock that is still climbing is Palantir. Man, this one has been crazy strong this year. It hit highs of just under $85 per share today. And Tom, I remember a couple years back when this one was trading for $12 a share and even less. And now we're talking about it at 85.
Oh my gosh, this has been one of the best runners all year, and it cracks another new high today. It just keeps it going, and as people like to say here, holy carp, right? This is a pretty insane runner. Palantir, I will say though, we're getting towards the end of the year. If I could pick one stock that I could pick from 2024 that really kept themselves in the headline all year, well, I guess I'd have to pick two, NVIDIA and Palantir. Like, these two stocks are insane, and Palantir has done a great job. Every time I think that they're finally going to slow down, they announce some new military contract and they go soaring back up into the heavens. So I will be watching this one very closely, Mike, around 85, which is its high from today. If we're able to break that, that could be a pretty good move here coming towards the end of the week, like Thursday and Friday. But the main thing is, hey, can we identify that good momentum around the high of day with this?
Yeah, so while I love Palantir for the long term, and while the short-term price action has been great, I didn't love the intraday price action that we saw today. It had a super strong run at open, but faded lower throughout the rest of the day. So this price action certainly isn't ideal, but that's okay because, not everything can be perfect. But it is worth noting that it did have a somewhat weak half of the day, and it's just something that you don't necessarily want to see. But either way, keep it on the radar. But another stock that we certainly have to bring up is Apple. So this one has been chugging higher for like months now. It hit highs of $258.35 per share today. Tom, what is going on with this Apple run? This thing is crazy.
Let's go right into this end of the year and new year coming up. It's helping to fuel this Santa rally. This was a fantastic run here by Apple. Ever since Apple broke 250 in the short term, I've been pretty happy with this hold of support and then a continuous break of these recent highs as well, right around that 255 to 256 mark today. That was a great breakout there. Apple is a stock that did show some weakness earlier this year. In between July all the way until November, it took a long time for Apple to finally break out of that flat zone that it was in, but now that we broke, it has been pretty much straight to the upside. So right now, there's just a lot of fuel on this stock. There was no like real Apple specific news, but we're in a time of the year where we're seeing a lot of buying pressure, and whenever we start to see the buying pressure come in, it's starting to snowball and just spill into other stocks and other sectors. So right now, the tech stocks are hot, and they are continuing this nice run here to end the year, Mike. I don't think Santa could have brought anything better for Apple.
There we go. And then even Bitcoin had a pretty good day today. It's still under that $100,000 mark, which isn't the end of the world, especially considering, some of the recent gains that it has had. But we've just been seeing a good amount of buying pressure come in over these past couple of days. And it's really, definitely instilling some good confidence in a 2024 Santa rally. And we're definitely going to talk a lot more about this in just a couple minutes. But I figured I'd bring Bitcoin up as well. But even some of the crazier areas of the market, like some lower cap stocks like Rumble are, still moving in a pretty strong way. They technically closed down in the red today, but is this even that surprising given the 80% gains we saw yesterday?
Yeah, definitely not, in my opinion. 80%, gosh, it's only down 4% today. I would say this is a pretty good move for Rumble, but nonetheless, I think Rumble's an interesting one. We do see this happen a lot with stocks that run up, where they might consolidate for a few days at the top before maybe going for a secondary push. That's what I'll definitely be looking for here with Rumble. And Mike, I know that there's another stock that we've been talking about a ton lately, which is ACHR, and momentum did fade with this one a couple weeks ago, but it actually just ran up and re-broke above the recent high. So ACHR is pushing back higher with another good 15% run today. And I know that there was a lot of people out there that are still holding some of those big money plays from before, and they're starting to look pretty dang good once again.
I cannot believe it, Tom. I seriously have to say that ACHR has been one of the craziest moving stocks of the entire year. Yes, you have the craziness with NVIDIA, Palantir, SMCI, and those are all great in their own ways. But ACHR just has that unique movement to it where it moves not only in a way that is different from stocks like NVIDIA and SMCI and the other ones, but it also just moves in such an explosive way where, just over the course of a couple months, this stock went from $3.50 per share up to highs of $11 per share. And like that move happened like pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's pretty insane there. And if you go like to the low back from October to the high here, we're talking like 291% at the high today, around $11, almost hitting 300% if we could get just a little bit more of a breakout to come in. But we have to keep this stock, ACHR, and even ticker symbol JOBY, which is in that same type of sector on the radar here, which are the air taxi slash eVTOL, I guess, aircrafts, right? It's a bit of an emerging sector, right? We don't have too many companies out there for them right now, but JOBY and ACHR are starting to get the hype back into them.
You know it. So definitely keep them on the radar. But what we're really seeing right now more than anything else is just some good strength in general. And this isn't something that should surprise you too much, given that historically speaking, the Santa rally that we see each year on average tends to be like pretty strong. So what we could see with data going all the way back to 1950 is the 7 trading day period, which is the last 5 days of the current year and the first 2 days of the following year. So for this year, it would be from December 24th to January 3rd, tends to be pretty strong. We could see that most of the time, not only are the returns positive, but they're also like pretty decently positive, and they end up being 1.3% on average. It's worth noting that last year we did not have a Santa rally, as we can see by that red bar. Throughout history, there have only been 2 times where there were 2 red years back to back, as we could see on the chart. But either way, so far so good this year.
Yeah, I'll say this is definitely a good start to the Santa rally, Mike. And whenever I look back throughout history, a lot of these moves from the Santa rally has been amazing. Like some of these years where we see some of the better moves higher, I mean, we're talking 4% plus. So definitely this is a good time of the year. I'm glad to see that so far Santa's been coming. I think I need to leave extra milk and cookies out tonight so that whenever we wake up, we see stocks starting to move up later in the week, right? Maybe get on Santa's good side. But I will say, just continuing on with like the Santa rally statistics, I mean, gosh, Mike, the Santa rally, at least for the percentage and the amount of times that the market's positive, this is the best 7 days of the whole year.
Yeah, that is really exciting to see. So it ends up being in the green over 78% of the time, which is nice. And, the data goes all the way back to 1950. Sometimes the data can be like, I don't want to say like cherry picked, but it could just be limited in the sense where it's like, okay, we only have, 20 years worth of data. And it's like, okay, that's nice, but only to a certain extent. But when you go all the way back to 1950, it definitely shows something, statistically significant. And especially so when, it's like quite literally the best 7-day period of the entire year. So that's really nice to see. Of course, while it's great to look at all of these bullish statistics and, feel nice and happy and good about them, it's worth noting that anything can happen. So like while we look at all of these stats, you have to be willing to adapt, protect your risk, and flow with the market as it moves. While we know that most of the time the market will be strong and green during this time of the year, as we've seen by looking at that historical data, that first chart we showed, there have been times where not only the market is red, but it's red by like a decent amount.
Yeah, and some of these, like we're showing here, obviously it doesn't go back to back a lot, but like just going back to like 2014 to 2016, there were a couple of those drops that were down like right around 2%. And, a 2% pullback would be pretty brutal considering how much SPY's up. It might not look like a lot on the daily chart, but as we know, looking at it from an intraday standpoint, that would definitely freak traders out quite a bit. Mike, whenever I'm talking about the SPY here overall, I'm loving this good move on this Santa rally, but I still have that nagging question of like, hey, are the lower highs going to start forming? We're still in a position where the lower highs could form on SPY, and there's some major resistances coming up. I really like this 603 resistance. There was a lot of touches right on that level, so that's going to be a major resistance that I watch for, along with 605 to 606. A lot of touches right there as well, and then we also have to watch the all-time high up right around 608.50 to 609. So that's pretty much what I'm watching for over the next couple of days with the SPY. I'll be watching these resistances very, very carefully. And if we see a rejection, we might have to start adapting back to the downside, even though we're in this period where there should be a Santa rally.
Right, and that's a great point. And I would say out of everything, I think that like 606 to 606.50 area is what will be like most influential, because that is the point where like the lower high trend will either be made or not made, because the market has been making continuous lower highs ever since like December 6th, and that shows not only that the selling pressure is consistent, but it's also getting more and more urgent. And like we're getting to that point right around that like 606 to 606.50 area where it's like if SPY rejects there, that will show that the bearish pressure still exists in like a pretty strong way. On the other hand, if we could break through that level in a strong way, that'll show that the buying pressure is really starting to outweigh some of the outstanding sellers that there are. So keep a close eye on that area. And like you said, Tom, it's very important to adapt, especially during times of increasing volatility. But besides that, we do have a pretty clear rest of the week. The earnings schedule is completely clear, and then the economic schedule is mostly clear, but we have like a couple like very tiny things.
Yeah, on Thursday, we do have the initial jobless claims 1 hour before the market opens. These come out weekly, so keep that in mind, but it could end up impacting the market quite a bit. There are also some like wholesale inventories and different stuff like that, but like Mike said, nothing too huge or market breaking there as far as this goes, so we can just focus on what Santa gives us here.
Love it. All right, well, let's get right to it then. A stock that is definitely on my radar is Tilray, and it is to the upside. We talked about this stock a bit in yesterday's video, and basically it has been uptrending in a pretty strong and momentum-driven way over the past couple of trading days, and it is at the point now where it pulled back a little bit over like the past day or so, but nothing to the point where like it truly like scares me just yet, we'll say. As we look at Tilray intraday, we can see it started off in pre-market very strongly, but ended up slowly fading lower, but still mostly holding its ground as it basically is trading at the same level that it closed at yesterday. What I like about this is that it has a broader uptrend going on here, but the stock is not falling off to the point where it is just constantly bleeding lower and just weakening more and more. So basically the way I look at Tilray right now is that it is building momentum, and this is like a short-term dip. I like the overall reward to risk with this one, where stocks like these, like this one, is extremely volatile, but when they catch momentum, they move in like some really strong ways. So either way, Tilray is on my bullish radar going forward. I don't necessarily expect this stock to like have to go up tomorrow, but it's definitely like on my bullish radar like over like the next like couple of trading days or so.
Tilray can have some pretty insane movement out there. I will definitely watch it, Mike. With the average percent move being 3.6%, it can get pretty wild there. With my first setup, I'm looking at Coinbase back to the upside. I'm actually identifying a pretty decent base on like Coinbase and MicroStrategy in the short term, and there is even some like little higher lows going on in the short term as well off of this recent low. So I will be watching for Coinbase to start to push back above resistance, just above the high of day today, right around 285. If we can start to get a good break back above this range, I could see a retest of maybe 292 to 294, if not even a retest of $300 over the next few days. Of course, if the Santa rally makes Bitcoin start to fall off, then go ahead and be careful, right? But of course, keep adapting in the short term as we need to, but I will be watching for that break and potential run.
All right, sounds great. Another stock close on my radar is Celsius, so CELH to the upside. As those who've been watching the videos, for a couple weeks and months now know, Celsius has definitely been on my bullish radar in general, and I really like it, like where it's at right now for a longer term position. But in the short term sense, it has been selling off a little bit over the past few weeks, and I like how it is forming like some short term support right around that like $26.50 area. Given that the stock is currently at like $27.34, risking down to like that $26.50 area in terms of risk is relatively small compared to like what the stock can do if it holds support and starts to move higher, as resistance is closer to like that $30 area and even like 31 and even closer up to like $32.75. So with everything being said, I like the reward to risk playing Celsius to the upside right now, and this trade is more of one that can, take probably like 2 to 3 weeks to play out, worst case scenario.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting here on support. It might even form some of these higher lows as well, which could be pretty awesome. So I will be watching this one. I've been liking the dip and that hold of support. With my next setup, I'm looking at Netflix here, and Netflix has a very, very large resistance coming up right around 940 to 942. And this is such a major level. We can go to the daily chart, and if Netflix is able to break out here, it will be to new all-time highs. So you know that there's probably a lot of sellers stacked up there. And on the Bookmap today, there was around, I would say, 44,000 shares stacked up there around the end of day. And then at 940, there was around 2,400 shares. We got to keep in mind, Netflix is a large, high-priced stock. You're not going to see stacks of 1 million shares generally at a level on Netflix, especially with low volume this week. So keep that in mind. But this is a big level. If we end up breaking that this week, I will be watching Netflix to the upside, but I am skeptical. If we do see a rejection, I will adapt back down. This is a play where I am really just looking for a big move in either direction from this point that we're kind of stuck at.
I agree. Netflix is at a pivotal point right now where, what it does over like the next few trading days will have a big impact on how this stock moves over the coming weeks and, potentially even longer than that. So either way, Netflix is definitely on the radar right now. And besides that, Tom, we are all clear for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have ACHR to the upside.
ACHR, you have to, right? New highs here in the short term. If it can break out above $11.05, just above the $11 high today, keep watching it up.
All right, with the next one, we have SMR also to the upside.
Yeah, a lot of these nuclear stocks came back alive. If we see SMR rip above $21.05, watch them up as well.
All righty, and then with the last one, we have SoFi also to the upside.
SoFi right around $16. So if they're able to break above $16.05, keep watching them up as well. We saw some great recoveries here.
Sounds good. So we have SoFi, SMR, and ACHR on watch for potential upside moves if and only if they break through the levels listed. The stronger and more consistent these stocks move, the better the setups become. Be willing to adjust and flow with the trend changes as they happen. Protect yourself by using stop losses and by having a plan for any trade you ever make. So definitely keep that in mind. And we are all clear for today's $407,000 big money trade. And today we are looking at ticker symbol FUTU. Today, the big money bought the 85 strike call options that expire on May 16th of 2025. FUTU is a Chinese stock that has definitely been pulling back quite a bit over like the past few weeks and months. For those of you who don't remember, Chinese stocks had quite literally a historic uptrend in September and October of this year. Since that point, they have calmed down quite a bit, and we've been seeing more and more bullish-leaning big money trades enter into Chinese-related stocks over the past few weeks at minimum. Looking at this setup, it definitely is a high-risk, high-reward setup where, naturally Chinese stocks move in a more volatile and uncertain way than other stocks, but when they do move, they move extremely strongly. Looking at these call options, they are, again, high risk, high reward. They have a fair amount of time to them, and they are already in the money, which are good signs to see. I like how FUTU has been forming like a nice base of support right around that $80 level, which is good to see. For as long as it holds above that, that will be a good sign.
Yeah, I really like that $80 support here, and I think that with the amount of time that's on this play, if you use that as a good support, it creates a pretty good risk-reward scenario here on FUTU. If we start to see a true recovery off of this low, I mean, there hasn't been a recovery off of this low that hasn't gotten back above like 103 to 104. So I'll definitely be targeting like around $100 plus on FUTU to the upside. But nonetheless, it's a pretty interesting big money play, and it has enough time as well where we can really let this play out into the beginning of next year. Of course, if you guys ever want to know anything, like if the big money's still in a play or something like that, you can always hop into Discord and ask us. We'll always let you guys know. But nonetheless, I will be eyeing up that support on this one as a decent stop area.
Beautiful. All right, well, Tom, before we move on, we have to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Young Joseph, in the Stocked Up Discord. They had some great posts with some SPX options and some scalps that they did. So he said he was in and out within 2 minutes and had some pretty nice profits to go along with that trade. So huge shout out to you, Young Joseph, and keep up the great work going forward. For those of you who are in the short-term trading, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below to use coupon code SANTA100 for the Stocked Up trading floor. This gives you full access to our army of custom trading bots, our weekly live events, big money trades. You can chat with Tom and myself all day long and get access to all future updates included. We have some super exciting things coming for 2025, so if you're into short-term trading, this is the spot to be. Again, coupon code SANTA100 is our Christmas special, so definitely check that out. It saves you $100 off the yearly plan. But besides that, we do have a pretty exciting end to 2024 on the lineup. Regardless of whether we see a Santa rally or not, we normally see increasing volatility during this time of year. Basically, what's going to happen is either a big move up or a big move down, or at least that's what history has to say about it. This is a good thing because if the market just chopped around and did nothing, that is where opportunity kind of diminishes. But when you see big moves in either direction is what really ultimately opens up, the opportunity to put yourself in good trades and, have, good setups that exist in the market. So either way, we should have an exciting end to 2024. If you guys are new to the channel, consider obliterating that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. We post brand new videos all the time, just like on Christmas here. And it takes us hours to make these videos. And we have basically everything covered in around 20 to 25 minutes or less. So if you want to hear from us more often, consider tapping that subscribe button. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's crush 2025.